And welcome to Impact 2024, our continuing conversation where we talk about all types of different topics: race, religion, current events, everything that you want to talk about, anything that you want to talk about. And the reason we say that is because you have an opportunity to join in and talk about what you want to talk about by typing it questions and comments into the comment section. And so we always say that this is a conversation. And as a conversation goes, it's usually two ways. So if you have anything that you want to say, you want to make a comment, you want to do a question, you want to agree, you want to disagree, whatever you want to do, feel free to do so in the comment section, whether you are on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. There's a comment section and we will see it, read it, and address it. As always, we jump right into it. This is May. May is a month. The spring month. A lot of people do a lot of things in May. This is when people really get their vegetables and their gardens together, or they go outside and they start working on their yards. Or if you have allergies, this is a big allergy season and grass cutting. It's that month when things are going on. In my yard, there are birds with nests who chase me around or chase me out the way when I get near it. That's what May is. But May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And if you have been with us over the time that we've been here, you know that from time to time we talk about mental health. Not too deeply because I'm not a mental health professional or anything such as that, but we talk about mental health. And one of the things with mental health awareness, one of the common themes or one of the common concepts is that we hear people say that it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to kind of address your mental health, to address where you are and how you're feeling and that sort of thing. And so May is a reminder for us, for everyone, that mental health is an important issue. Doesn't mean that you necessarily have something wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you have an issue. But what we're saying in May is that you need to be aware that there are many people who are struggling with different things and that it is important to take care of your mental health. And that's what we've been talking about here today. That's what we've been talking about here repeatedly. Mental health. We all have to protect our mental health. It's similar to our physical health, where we go out and we exercise, where we make sure that we try to eat right. We make sure that we do certain things in order to protect our bodies or to nourish our bodies or to exercise our bodies or to keep our bodies healthy. We need to do the same things with our mind. This is very important. And one of the reasons that we're talking about it, one of the reasons that we're talking about it, because I think it directly relates to us here in the church and us as Christians and just people in general. One of the recent things, and I've talked about this before, one of the recent things that have popped up is that they were talking about who gets Alzheimer's and dementia and cognitive decline and who does not. And when some of the research that has come out has basically said that games were very important. And we're talking about there has been no grand chess master. And so that is one of the top chess players in the world. The grandmaster. So no grand chess master has had Alzheimer's or dementia. And the reason that they were pointing that out is because they were saying that if you keep your mind moving and if you keep your mind sharp and if you play certain games or have certain strategic decisions that you need to make, your cognitive decline will slow, or you just won't have it. And as the saying goes, you said you keep your idle hands is the devil's workshop, but an idle mind is also the devil's playpen. You got to keep yourself busy. One, so that you don't get into trouble, but two, so that you can keep yourself sharp. Why is this important? Why is this a function? Because what we've talked about constantly over the time we've been here is relationships. And what we talked about as a church is relationships. And what we talked about is people coming together and getting together. But as we talk about mental health, we have to be reminded that one of the more important things is you have to have stuff to do, or that's where your cognitive decline comes, and also that's where your mental health goes poorly. When you're depressed, or when you're feeling bad, or when you feel like you're not mentally sharp, or your mental health isn't the sharpest, a lot of times it's when you pull back away from people, when you feel alone or isolated, when you talk about people who stop going out, stop communicating with other folk. That's when a lot of times that cognitive decline occurs. And as we've stated here, like, human beings are not meant to be alone. We talk about it constantly. I think our job as the body, as the group, as people who we call ourselves Christians and we're trying to do right. We have to continue to realize that not only do we need to participate with others, others need to participate with us, because it is a mental health issue, a mental health thing. Miss USA just stepped down from her position to take care of her mental health. Yes. That was a recent story. So for those of you who don't know, Miss USA, yes, has been in the role for 7 months. It's a 12-month term, and she just stepped down and said, listen, I'm stepping away for my mental health. Now, people raise an eyebrow every time somebody says that. Miss USA said this a couple of years back. One of the gymnasts, Simone Biles, stepped away in the Olympics because of her mental health. She had the twisties or situation, but also just the pressures of everything that was going on, and they stepped away. It's been a constant recognition when we talk to people we talk about people, athletes, and things like that are now recognizing that they have mental health issues and they step away. They can't function. They can't do right. And a lot of us raise our eyes and we look back and we're like, oh man, yeah, you soft, you weak, or you got some other priorities, or you being lazy or whatever else. We sometimes, especially those of us who may be a little bit older, we come from a time of you need to push through, you need to be strong, you need to endure, you need to keep going. And when we see people saying, I need to step back from my mental health, sometimes we look at that and we categorize that as being soft, weak, lazy, quitting, those type of things. But the reality of the matter is, if somebody's having a mental health, whether it be an issue or I just want to focus on my mental health, or I just don't feel right, I think it's better to take a step back than it is to continue on and then go down a bad path. As we highlighted over and over again, unfortunately, the suicide rates amongst young people have increased dramatically. Before 2020, when COVID was coming, and exponentially since then. The world is different. And one of the things that we talk about, and one of the things that I sit and I bang the gavel on, is because of isolation. Because it's a cold world now. You sit back and you don't have to go to school and go to class. You can do everything online. You don't have to go and meet with people. You can do it online. You have your little Zoom or your Teams or what we're doing right here, and you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. You don't have to get together with people. And so it allows that cognitive decline and that separation and those relationships to break. And you really don't have to get together. And so as we look at May, and we look at some of the tips that people have said. Number one is it's okay to acknowledge that it's not that if you're not okay, you don't have to have an issue. But if you just feel like, okay, I'm not okay, then it's okay to say that. And I think that's probably the most important part that we get away from is the stigma. So as the church, if somebody comes and they just are I'm not okay, like I just don't feel right. We have to be accepting of that, and we have to allow people to do that. Outside of the church, just generally speaking, our family and friends, if somebody says that they're not okay, we just have to be okay with them saying that they're not okay, and not be so quick to jump on them because we have history and we sit back and be like, oh, they just being lazy, or they just doing this, or they just doing that. It's okay to be not okay. It's okay to be stressed out sometimes. It's okay to not even know what's wrong with you, but just know that you just don't feel right. But it's okay. And so, that's a part of the whole mental health. So our mental health is greatly impacted by the medications that are being prescribed. Things like anxiety or depression are some of the side effects. Absolutely. And that brings up a weird topic, one that is it's one that people we fight the battle with, and I see both sides of it, and you have the one side of listen. All right, it's May. It's mental health awareness. We need to be talking about mental health, but we need to be talking about people staying on medication and getting themselves right on medication. And there's the one side that said, where you're thinking, all right, let's get on medication. And you're looking at the side effects and you're looking at, all right, medication is helpful. Medication can balance you out. Medication can save your life. You should be taking it. And we should be encouraging people to take things. Go to a doctor and take things in order to make yourself feel right. And then there's the other side that says, no, this medication is what's pulling you down a lot of times. The side effects are depression. Like you're sitting here trying to take the one thing, but then you hear those side effects all the time. You hear all the medicines, and then at the end of the commercial, if you're watching on TV, it'll say side effects, depression, suicidal thoughts, this, that, and that. Like what? How is this helping my mental health? And so you have people who don't want to take medicine because it'll cause the issues. And at the same time, we advocate that you should take medicine to solve the issues. Sometimes it's a cycle. But things like anxiety and depression, on the clinical level, yes, you're going to need some situation or some kind of help. Regardless of what it is, you need something outside of yourself. And whether that's something being, some of us need to exercise. Some of us need to make sure that we have relationships with other people. Some of us need to talk to a counselor or talk to a therapist or talk to someone. But what we don't need to do is isolate ourselves and thinking that laying in the bed and a bowl of ice cream is going to fix it. And so I understand the battle that we all have between I don't want to take medicine versus, I don't want to take medicine because it'll do some harmful things versus you need to take medicine because you're going to do some harmful things if you don't. There's that balance there, and there's honestly, I don't think that there's any right answer to it, and I don't want to tell anybody wrong information when it comes to that. But I know that that's a controversial thing when it comes to medicine versus not, and side effects and all that kind of stuff. But I get on board with that. A lot of these medicines and the depression and that anxiety and all of these things that can get to you. And we fight tooth and nail. I am an advocate of less medicine and more, and I will fight hard to do the things that I need to do or do everything that I need to do not to take the medicine. But eventually, at some point, if you realize, all right, medicine needs to be taken, you got to break down and take it. And I say that as somebody who hates the medicine. But regardless, that's where it comes. And so some of the things that have been highlighted back to May and it being mental health awareness. So we talked about one, it's okay to be okay. And so it's okay not to be okay. So not only is it okay not to be okay, it has to be okay to be able to verbalize that it's not okay. Verbalize that you feel a little bit different. And it's okay to take a break. And that's the other thing. So we have to, and that goes two ways. When we feel stressed out, when we feel anxiety, when we don't feel okay, it's okay for us to take a break. But also, when someone feels anxiety, when somebody is stressed out, when somebody says they need a break, we have to allow them and let them take a break. That's the tough one right there. Because sometimes we have people who we rely on. And when we watch them having to take a break, we sit back and we're like, oh, man, but you're messing my thing up. But according to what it said, we have to allow them to be able to take a break, allow them to be able to step back, allow them to be able to get themselves recalibrated and get themselves, right. And maybe it'll be for a short amount of time, maybe it'll be for a long amount of time, but that time needs to be done. And then, and then here's the one that I put in. The other ones, here's the one that I put in. It has to be okay that when somebody does have a situation, that we're able to stand with them and stay with them. And from a Christian standpoint, we're able to offer forgiveness. So there was a recent story, and this is a tough one. There was a recent story. It's actually going on now, where there was a man in the car, a Tesla, because that was a part of the story. There's a man in the car in a Tesla. It was him, his wife, and his two children. and he had a mental break and drove his car with his family off of the side of a mountain. Now, they all survived. Um, Gratefully, they all survived. But the man has been he's being charged with attempted homicide, and but his wife, and let me hear this. His wife, not his ex-wife, his wife said she's staying with him. She wants the charges dropped, because what they found out is that he had a mental episode. He's had a mental condition for years, but nothing ever showed up. It never showed up, and so that was the one time that he had a break. And so, working with doctors and everything like that, he's gotten some medicine as well. And so she's sitting back here saying, well, look, we found out that he had a mental episode. We found out that he had a condition. Let me not say mental episode. We found out that he had a condition. So it's not that he tried to hurt us because he was in his right mind. He wasn't. He should not be criminally prosecuted. She said, he can be monitored, have to go to a facility and be monitored and whatnot, but the family still needs him. That's still her husband. The kids still call him their father and want him home. And so, again, that's a tough one because you're sitting here with somebody who drove you in the car off the side of a mountain to try to kill the whole entire group. And now you're able to come back and say, you know what, I forgive what you did because you had a mental break. Most of us are not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to be as powerful as the wife was or the wife is. We're not going to be able to be as strong as she is. And even, look, at the end of the day, I would be super paranoid that the person would do it again. But she's being an example for all of us. That's what we have to be able to do and lend out to other folk. So when it's mental health awareness is a two-way street. It's not only talking about the people who are under or who are having a moment, which we all have, all of us, but we're also talking about how we react to other people when they're having a moment. And if we can be an example as this young lady is, being able to forgive, being able to endure, because sometimes folk will hurt your feelings, hurt you in a lot of different ways. If we're able to endure and understand, like, hey, you weren't right then. You weren't in your full thoughts. Some comments. I believe the reason Christ pushed his disciples to come together as the people of God was that we could be there for one another, not just our physical needs, but also our emotional needs. This is a part of loving one another. Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely get on board with that. We need each other. And I think that's, not only that, if you sit back and you actually look at the disciples and you see there's some differences there amongst them, different types of people from different backgrounds, different areas, different professions, and those differences sometimes they fill in the gaps. You may have the answer that I didn't have, or you may be able to help us, and we get it together. Where I'm lacking, you may have. And I think that's why it's important. I know it's super hard for people, because I know if I'm not feeling right, the last thing I want to do is be all up in a bunch of folk face. The last thing I want to do is be around other folk. But that's oftentimes the medicine to the issue. When you're feeling bad, you just want to sit by yourself. But if you were out or if you were with your family, your friends, your loved ones, whoever, you feel a little bit better sometimes. And so it's like any other medicine. When my son is sick, he don't want to take the medicine that don't taste good. My wife says the medicines taste like Dimetapp. It's all Dimetapp. This stuff tastes nasty, but it helps. And so it's hard to take, but it's the solution. And I think, what Christ pushed us or pushed the disciples to be and pushes us to be is the solution is being together. Another comment. It's hard when you feel alone. Absolutely. Because even when you're around other people, you can 100% feel alone. So you can be physically alone when nobody's actually there, or you can have people around you and still feel alone. And that's a great comment. So that comes back to, again, both sides of the group, because we're talking from both standpoints. So from the standpoint of when we see other people who are having a moment, we need to make sure that we reach out. You can't force yourself on them, but make sure that you reach out and remind them that they're not alone. I think that's our job. And then from the other standpoint, when we're feeling, we're feeling that hurt, and we're all having our moments. We have to try to remind ourselves, even though it sounds crazy, we have to try to remind ourselves that we're not alone, and we have to push ourselves to stay around our family and our friends. And that's the beautiful part about having a church family, because sometimes your family, especially because they have more history with you, may not be the best ones to help you sometimes, because they have all the history. So they, sit back here and they think about some of the past stuff. Nah, it didn't work out. But sometimes your church family, your friends, will be sometimes the best cure in some of these situations. It's a little bit of a different type of topic that we normally don't talk about. But again, it's May, and May just started. But all month, people will be concentrating on mental health. People will be concentrating on mental health awareness. And so, just wanted to make sure we brought that to the table as a reminder, because if that's what's going on outside of the church, that's what's going on everywhere else, then we need to be aware of it, and aware of what's going on. A couple of quick things to hit on, because we as our time goes along. A couple of quick things to hit on. One, this is a big time for a lot of young people. Young people are graduating from high school. It's the graduation time, graduating from college. It's stressed out. Stressed out because now you're in a new world, new possibilities. You're sitting here, you're done with high school. What are you going to do next? You're done with college. You're done racked up all of these bills. What are you going to do next? That's the time that we need to look out for people's, mental health. We're sitting here now in a time where we have just some craziness going on in the world. Wars all over the place. One of the big topics that we're constantly talking about is Palestinian-Israeli conflict, the conflict in Gaza. And it's stressing a lot of people out. Anxiety is all mixed in with that. We're looking at where we are in the world with our economy. Economy is not bad, but at the end of the day, their prices have gone crazy. It's hard for people to get housing. It's harder to go to the grocery store and shop and get the things that you need. It's a little bit more difficult than it was before, stressing people out. And so there's a lot of folk who are dealing with a lot of issues. A lot of us, let me be very clear, a lot of us are dealing with a lot of issues. And so this is the time where we have to make sure that other people, and check on everybody else, check on other people, and making sure, hey, are you taking care of your mental health? Are you taking a time out? Are you taking a moment to take care of your mental health? Play games. I think this is my thing. Play games. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, play some games. You got to have entertainment. You cannot sit at the house all day looking at sports. That's what I would do, because that's drama. Even though there's some fun in there, it's drama. Or you can't sit back there all day and look at some drama all day and think that that's going to help. You got to do things that are fun, things that are great. Play games. Games are great, whether they be the mental games that you play by yourself that keeps your mind sharp, helps your mental health, or play games with other people. We have game night here at the church. I think it's one of the great things because, one, it keeps your mind sharp, but then it also has you socializing. It's great for your mental health. Getting up and getting out. So the great part about it being May is that it's bright outside, it's sunny outside, it's warm outside. It's an opportunity to get out. I think everybody is aware that, as the winter seasons come in, that's when mental health really gets bad, because you're isolated, you're inside, it's dreary outside, the sun's not out. But right now we have an opportunity to be out, and let's take care of one another. Take care of ourselves and take care of one another. Take the time to step back, to concentrate, and just take inventory of your mental health. And whatever you feel like, remember that as it's been said, it is okay not to be okay. And it's okay to say that you're not okay. And then if somebody says to us that they're not okay, that's okay as well. And we have to make sure that everybody feels like it's okay as well. It is okay for you to come and say, I'm not feeling great right now. I'm not doing great right now. That's okay. Doesn't mean it's not, and not weakness or anything like that. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. All right. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And I think it's important. Again, that's what it is all May. So you should be seeing things around, whether you see it on the internet, whether you see it at the job, whether you see people talking about it. Concentrate on it. Listen to some of the tips that are out here. Look at it. Look at some of listen to some of the programming, whatever events you see. Just take some time this month as they concentrate on mental health awareness. Take some time to make sure that you take an assessment of your own personal mental health. I am going to do that, and I hope everybody else does it as well. All right. Thanks for the comments, everybody. Thanks for everything that was said and put in. I always appreciate that. Thanks for everybody who joined us. Just as a shout out or a call back. Last week we concentrated and we reminded everybody on the fact that we were having an anniversary here at the church. It was outstanding. So for those of you who missed it, you can watch it again on Facebook and YouTube. It's the service last week. You can see it on the website or Facebook or YouTube. And for everybody who was there, you know that was great. So I don't have to remind you. But just as always, on Thursdays, Bible study, Thursday, same place, Facebook and YouTube at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Sundays, service, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, we have prayer. You can call it the number here if you want to be in prayer with us. And then also at 8 Eastern, we always have Impact 2024. One more quick comment that we're going to highlight here. During this time that we are living in, people may have a sense of hopelessness. Unfortunately, many people begin to turn inward and are only concerned with their issues. This attitude only makes things worse. We do not see each other. We don't hear each other. We need to come together. And that was, you know what, as you said that, one of the things that I meant to highlight, and I forgot to touch on it, and you're touching on it right there, is many people do have a sense of hopelessness. But unfortunately, as it says, many people begin to turn inward. Selfishness is one of the things that really hurts. And it's not selfishness from the people who are feeling, the hopelessness. It's selfishness that is being pushed to other people. When we're talking about prices being high, or we're talking about situations of it's hard to get homes, and we're talking about as rents have gone high and other things like that. Oftentimes, these situations are not economic conditions. These situations are the result of selfishness. And people being selfish can push people into bad situations, can push people into hopelessness, can push people into depression, can push people into anxiety. We do that to one another by being selfish, by being greedy. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the things there. And you pointed also in this comment, it points to what we talked about. You go inward. We retreat. We're like turtles. My son has a turtle. When that turtle gets scared, he goes into his shell. That's what we do. We just try to hide and go inward. And that's not, as comforting as it may feel, it's not the right thing to do. We need to stay connected. We need to stay out there. It's like when you're sick, mental health, depression, anxiety. It's the exact same thing as being any other kind of sick. If you're sick, you should go to the doctor. You shouldn't stay in the house and think that it's just going to cure itself. Some things do. You got a little cold here, got a little virus here. Yeah, you stay at the house. But when you're really sick, you go to the doctor. You get out of the house and you go to the doctor. When we're having those mental moments, we need to go and get better, not stay in the house and think that it's all going to get better. It's just like any other, moment, or it's just like a cold. Your anxiety could be like a really bad cold, but we need to go somewhere and get some medicine or get some whatever. And the medicine, and I'm not talking about it being real medicine, but the medicine may be, being with others, talking to somebody, getting out. But the medicine is not going to be sitting at the house. away from folk. I think, I don't think that's going to be medicine, because it wouldn't be, if you broke your leg, it ain't going to be better by sitting at the house. It's going to be better by going out here and getting some help. And I think that's the same way we have to do with our minds. And we have to just remind ourselves that, because I know that that's hard. And especially, and I'll talk from a Black male perspective, because that's what I am. Especially for Black men. Like, we ain't going to the doctor when we get sick. So we definitely not going to the doctor, or we're going to anybody, or even discussing with anybody when we think that our mind isn't right, our emotions aren't right. We are stubborn, but we got to do better. And if we're not going to do it for ourselves, we got to do it for the people who we're connected to. Because your mental health and our mental health, my mental health doesn't affect me. It affects my kids. It affects my friends. It affects all of my family. Because if I'm not doing right, then they may be stressed out. If I'm not doing right, I may not be treating them right. If I'm not doing right, then I'm not going to be doing right by anybody else. And so, if we're not going to do it for ourselves, then let's do the right thing for the ones that we care about. That was a good comment. That was a really good comment. All right. We're definitely at our time. Thank you, everybody. Please join us again next week. And again, mental health, May is mental health awareness. Let's all concentrate on it. Thank you. Have a good one. And we will see you next week.